Welcome to Parents' Night. If you're a parent, you're in the right place. Every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we will be having a parent session to learn about conscious parenting, how to raise kind and responsible kids. So if you're a parent, welcome. If you were here last week, welcome. Welcome back to our parents session. We're going to talk about a bunch of things today. The first thing, I guess, first of all, I want to ask anybody out there who's listening, can you hear me? Can we just do a voice check? Are we okay here? And thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, all parents. This is Parents' Night, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Parents. Excellent. You can hear me. Thank you. That's what I really needed to know before I go on and on. I just want to make sure you can actually hear me. So we're going to talk about how to establish an effective morning routine to get you and your children started off right for the day. We talked. Well, I'll wait till I'm just going to babble for a few more minutes till some more folks show up. But we talked last week with parents about how to create an effective morning routine for your children and how to create a morning checklist. And by the way, that applies to the adults too. A morning routine is the best way to get off to a solid start on the day. Where did I put that? Here it is. Parents' Night. I should put that right over my head. It is Parents' Night. Parents' Night. Parents' Night. And now I have to flip my phone. Parents' Night. Parents' Night. If you're a parent, hit 1. So I know we've got some parents out there. If you're a parent, put 1 in the comments. Let me know you're out there. Parents' Night. How to raise kind and responsible kids. Today we're going to talk about how to raise kind and responsible kids. I'm going to put this up here. You can't see that. You can see it if I put it up higher. Parents' Night. Excellent. Can you see that? I think you can't see that. Maybe you can't. I have all this stuff on my phone. So let's wait till we get a few more parents, but Evolve with the Pack, thank you for being here. Excited about that you're here. We're going to create this Sunday night. There was enough interest last week that I hope a lot of those folks are going to be back, but we are going to be talking about how to raise kind and responsible kids. I'm working on a book with that very title, and I'm actually looking for several people to work through the book with me, and I want to get that published and get that into the hands of parents. It's about we talk about how to raise kind and responsible kids. Well, the truth is, we've got to bring the parents into balance. The parents themselves need to become more balanced, because when the house is like this, the kids misbehave, the parents freak out, the kids misbehave, the parents freak out. One of them is going to have to come into balance, and that's going to be the parents. And that's what we're really going to work on tonight. How to get your life in balance so that whatever happens in your family, eventually the goal is to create a nice, calm, peaceful wavelength for yourself and for your family. So you want to create a peace. You want to get rid of the chaos and the back and forth and the stress and the drama. And you want to find a way to bring yourself into balance and bring the family into balance. And that's what we're really going to talk about. And the most important thing as a parent is that you start off, and I think this is important for this is important for everybody, not just parents. You've got to begin the day with a consistent morning routine. A consistent morning routine that gets the kids off. But look, by 7:30, you want your kid to go check, 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 check. Made the bed, tidied up the room, helped dad with preparing lunch, did my deep breathing and my exercising. You want to get your kids off to a solid start in the morning so they have a chance to have a solid, successful day. And it's the same thing even if you're not a parent. You want to get yourself off to a stable start consistently every single morning. So when you wake up, you're not just, going with the wind. You have a specific plan every morning. For adults, should be deep breathing, stretching, and meditating. For children, it should be exercising, stretching, breathing. That's the health side of it. They should be making their beds. They should be tidying up their rooms. And by the way, how do you start? How do you have a successful morning routine with your kids? How do you have a successful morning routine with your children? The answer is you start the night before. You lay out their clothes, you pay it forward. Like the night before, you and your child sit down, you look at all the homework that's due. Well, now it's summertime. You look at all the things, you set goals for the next day, and you lay out the clothes, you get everything ready, and then when the alarm goes off, the kid is ready to start. They make their bed, and how do they make their bed, by the way? You make it with them for the first couple of times, maybe for the first week, maybe for the first month, maybe for the first year. You and the child make the bed, and one day you just kind of slip out and say, okay, I can't come right now. You do it. You do the other side. And slowly, see, it's not how well the child makes their bed. It's the fact, it's the habit. It's the fact that they're doing it. See, these habits and routines, the idea of being self-reliant, if you can teach your child solid habits, solid routines, the whole idea of becoming self-reliant, that's going to last them for the rest of their lives. That's really important. I'm going to undo my mirroring. Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. The idea of getting your child to become self-reliant, to learn how to pick out their own clothes the night before, and you know, most of my advice is about what you do with school. So of course now school's over, but when we go back to school, you got to clean their backpack out the night before, repack it, make sure it's nice and neat, make sure all their homework's in there. If you're sending them to camp, if you're sending them to to grandma's to stay for the day, make sure they have their crayons, their coloring book, make sure they're doing their reading. It's another really important thing you have to do all summer long. You've got to work with your children to make sure that they're reading books in their hands, not Kindle. And so we've got to get books back into kids' hands. We've got to emphasize literacy with children. We have to emphasize critical thinking with children. And that begins with the parents, because most parents nowadays weren't read to when they were children. Most parents I know, young people in their 20s and 30s, they don't even read books. If they read on Kindle like this. We got to get out of that. We have to hold books in our hands. Pick an important book, get a pencil, underline every line, take notes in your journal, learn the topic that you're reading about, get into it. So you have to read. You have to be the role model. If you want your children to read, you've got to pick up a book and read. You've got to learn how to study. You've got to learn how to be a critical thinker. You have to learn how to have conversations about things that aren't like what's on TV. We need to start talking about important things. So the most important thing you can do as a parent is to teach your child self-reliance. You've got to teach them self-reliance, and that comes by establishing habits and routines, particularly in the morning, to get your child off to a consistent start every single day. Look, you can't have a good day if you don't have a good morning. It's not going to be a great day if your morning is all chaotic. So you've got to pin them down in the morning, make sure that everything's balanced and organized in the morning, and you have to pin them down again at night. Make sure that their evening wind down routine is balanced and organized. This is something you must do. You have to create a rhythm in your household. You can't just wake up and it goes like that the whole time until they go to sleep. And maybe they go to sleep because they crash out. We've got to get these kids in habits in the morning, habits at night, and we have to get them in that mindset of self-reliance to do even simple things. And my advice for a morning routine for a child, now we can actually talk about it, right? I'd love your ideas. What would be some good ideas of a morning routine? Now there's no school. Let's say you're not sending them to school anymore. There's no school. What would be because if there's school, could check their homework, make sure they, help you make the lunch, make sure their backpacks are packed properly, all that stuff. What are some morning things that we can do? Cooking together, I think, thank you for that. That is the best, one of the greatest things you can do with your kids is you can cook together. Show them, and here's the real advice. Show them from the very beginning how you take things out of the pantry, where you get the pan from, where you get the olive oil from, where you get the eggs from, the whole thing, not just, hey, come here, and scramble the eggs. Do the whole thing with them and do it over and over and over again so your children can become self-reliant. The goal is to create adults that are self-reliant. Things maybe your parents didn't instill in you. I know my parents, I didn't have a routine when I was done. The whole process, and you got to show them not just the whole process, but all the little details of the process. Let me show you, because kids don't know. Like, we just think, oh, it's so simple. Just grab the olive oil out of the thing. Can you grab this? They don't know where it is. They don't know where the fork. They don't know. So you have to show them how to organize the thing step by step by step. Get the plates out while it's cooking. Show them the whole thing so that they learn how to cook for themselves, or how to make sandwiches themselves. Whatever it might be, we've got to teach these kids to be self-reliant. Feed the pets. Absolutely, that's something we should have. We should have very specific responsibilities every morning relating to the pets, and every evening relating to the pets. Those should be the kids' responsibilities. Tidying up their room, making their bed every morning, whether there's school or no school. And again, you start a good morning routine begins the night before, in having a real conversation with them about what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Look, these are kids, right? I was just with my family today. I spent the whole day. I have 5 grandchildren. 4 of them were with me today. And I'm telling you, one of them is a baby. He's 6 months old, totally helpless, completely relying on us to be nice to him, to take care of him. He has no ability, a 6-month-old has no ability to take care of themselves. Once they start walking, we kind of think we don't need to take care. No, they are completely reliant on us to show them how to do even the simplest things. The simplest things to these children, they don't know. And like, if you're going to say, here, we're going to sweep the floor, that's your job. You have to show them, where's the broom? Where's the dustpan? Let me show you how to go get it. Let me show you how to hold the dustpan, how to hold the broom. Let me show you how to dump it in the garbage. Let me show you how to put the broom back and the dustpan back. Show them the whole thing from beginning to end, because there's no way they know these things. We think, oh, it's so simple. Just do this, do that. We think it's simple. Show them everything. Struggle so hard in adulthood. Yeah, you didn't learn. And I was the same way. I raised myself. I was like a jungle child. I had no manners. I went to college and I was like eating with my fingers. Like, what are these people eating with forks and knives? I hadn't, honestly, I wasn't that bad, but I went to college and I was in for a total culture shock. Like, oh my gosh, like I didn't say it in this way, but I wasn't raised properly. I wasn't taught anything, really. Nobody explained anything to me. So I had to learn, and I feel like my whole life I've been trying to figure things out that everybody else already knows. So people who didn't get a good upbringing always feel like they're behind in life. And so you have the responsibility to raise your children right. And the first thing you need to do is to teach them self-reliance, basic self-care, and basic routines, and get them into good habits in the morning and good habits at night. This is the most important thing. Set an even wavelength in your family. We know what we're doing every morning. We know what we do every night. And we do the same thing over and over and over. The kids end up with self-confidence. They end up with routines. They end up with positive habits of hygiene, positive habits of cleaning and making their bed, positive habits of putting their clothes out the night before. They know how to brush their teeth. They know where the broom and the dustpan is. They know how to take out the garbage. Just teach them these things, and most kids are happy to do it. And the younger, obviously, you start, the better off they're going to be as they get older. The older they are, if they're teenagers, there are many, many, many things, many, many problems. There are many reasons, let me say it this way. There are a lot of reasons why teenagers, once they hit 12 or 13 years old, it's very difficult to influence them anymore, because now they're out and they are influenced by other things. And they're no longer relying on you for influence. So anything you say by the time they hit teenager, they don't want to hear. So the earlier you start in teaching your kids positive habits. How do you pull the iPad away? They get very aggressive when I do it. Well, look, I think the answer to that is, this is important. Set routine, set times, that helps. But the most important attitude you have to develop with your children, especially if they're old enough to read it, to watch an iPad, you have to establish this idea that we're on the same team. We're in this world together. You and me together. Everyone in this house, we're a team. You do this part, I do that part, you do this part. Will a kid make their bed on their own? No. You've got to, but here's the thing. If you start cleaning out the garage, if you start being responsible, if you start adding new habits, yeah, your kid will make their bed. And if you help them for the first couple of days and show them how to do it and show them, just show them how simple it is, eventually they'll be able to do it by themselves. So you can set times, you can set all different strategies you can use, but the overarching strategy is that they have to understand, and you have to understand, that you're on the same team. We're doing this together. We used to sing this song in the car. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them we are the Gordons, the mighty, mighty Gordons. And, we were the mighty Gordons, and we did our thing. And we were on the same team, and my kids were responsible, and they have grown up to be fantastic adults. And hopefully our grandchildren are going to be great too. But yeah, so number one is a morning routine. Now let's switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk about, and you might want to get a journal or pencil and paper. I want to talk about how we create values and principles for our children. So I want you to write down, what values and principles do you want your children to exhibit? What kind of people do you want them to be? Think about that. We don't really think about that a lot. Let's take a couple of minutes and think about the type of person you want your child to be. So put in the comments as you're writing these things down, what are some of the values and principles, character traits, values, principles? What are some of the things that you want your children to live by? What are the values and principles you want them to build their life on? And what do you want them to stand for? Because here's the thing about values and principles. If you don't know what you stand for, you know what you stand for? You stand for nothing. You'll just do anything depending on how the world shows up that day. My values and principles are fluctuating depending on what shows up that day. We have to start the opposite way, and we don't have these conversations nearly enough. We don't talk about inner things anymore. And now we have to start talking about inner things, because the outer world is terribly out of balance, very chaotic, very traumatic, very out of balance. And so if our children go to their teen years and leave the house without clear values and principles that you built in them at a young age, they're not going to have any. So it's really important. What are you guys writing down? What are the values and principles that you want your children to live by? What kind of things do you tell them? Let's hear from you guys. Self-respect, respecting neighbors, religion, peace and happiness, mental health care. Okay. Excellent. What else? Kindness, honesty, caring, being thoughtful, being healthy. You talked about mental health care. I think one of the things we really neglect is integrity. Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole point. We never thought about it. And why don't we think about it? It's the one thing we should be thinking about. We have to know where we stand. We have to know what we stand for and how, because how do you make decisions in life if you don't have values and principles? So you just make whatever the most expedient decision is in the moment. But we can't live like that. We have to be values driven, principles driven. It's really important. Integrity, patience, gratitude. Patience is a big one. Helpful to the community. Yep. Wise, be a lifelong learner. Okay, I would reword that to be a lifelong learner. Be interested in learning and be a lifelong learner. Always want to learn more. Keep your mind open, not closed. Open your mind and explore more and more and more, and try to learn as much as possible. One of the greatest things you can do for your children is to turn them into readers, critical thinkers, and lifelong learners. And that's something that's not going to happen by itself. And at the school, you can't rely on the school to do that for you. School wasn't meant to do all that. You have to teach them how to read, how to be critical thinkers, have conversations with them about their books. See, a lot of parents just send their kids to school and they're like, thank God I don't have to deal with them anymore. The school's going to take care of them. That's the worst decision you could ever make. When you abandon your child's education to the school system, you're making a huge mistake. You have to be very involved. If they're reading a book, ask them questions about the book. And not just like a test question, describe the plot and the main character. Ask them, what is this book about? Tell me more. I'm interested. Tell me more. Tell me more. And keep doing that every night. So every time they read, you're sitting with them and they're telling you more and more and more. And then that's how you open new lines of communication with your kids. So let's get back to values, okay? All of the values that you want your children to have, do you have any idea how they're going to get those values? They're going to get them from you. You have to be the role model. You're the one that has to bring your life into balance. You have to get your emotions under control. You have to get your schedule under control. You have to get your whole life under control. Why? So you can start to open more calm and relaxed lines of communication with your kids. If everything is like this all the time and everything's a big fight and they go off to their room and look at their iPad for 6 hours and you don't even have a relationship with them anymore, then there's no wavelength. You have to create a calm and balanced wavelength. And the only way to do that is by you coming to balance. And the first way you come to balance is you have to first identify what you stand for. What are my non-negotiables? So what are some of your values? Yeah, I actually teach a financial, well, I don't know what the right word would be, a financial enlightenment kind of a thing. I teach enlightenment. So I talk about enlightened finances and really talk about fourth dimensional thinking and how you can think fourth dimensionally and start to plan for your own financial future. Because in the fourth dimension, we're slightly off topic here, but in the fourth dimension, you can look down on your life and you can see your whole life stream and you see it stopping at the present moment. And you realize if you don't start planting seeds now, your life will never change. So if you've got financial troubles your whole life and you don't do anything new or different, you don't plant any new seeds, that reality is going to continue. The only way to change your reality or change your timeline or change your future to a different timeline is to plant new seeds, to get out of your comfort zone. And most people have a financial comfort zone. The vast majority of people in America are just financially, not illiterate, but they're just like, that's too much. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't really, like I say, manage your money every week. Every Friday night, you get together with your wife or your husband and you manage your money. You look at your money, look at what you spent, compare it to the plan for next week. This is how you plan, right? But the vast majority, 99.999% of people don't do that. But the ones who do are the ones that are planting the correct seeds now so that their financial future slowly will begin to change. They'll change the direction of their financial future. Another really important thing you have to keep instill in your children is health. And I want to pause on that for a minute. You've got to teach your children about health, which means you have to start living a more healthy lifestyle. And the first thing I suggest that you do, really, I think the greatest gift you could give to yourself is to become a deep breather. We breathe like this. Now, don't get me wrong. You could breathe like this your whole life and live to be 100 years old. So this is enough to live. But your cells need oxygen and prana or chi or life force from the air outside. And what you want to do is you want to take the oxygen, the chi and the prana that's out there and you want to put it in here. Why? Because that's what your cells need to function. That's what your cells need to live. So if you teach yourself to be a deep breather over time, it takes a couple of weeks and months to become a true deep breather. But once you're a deep breather, you'll be a deep breather for the rest of your life. And what happens is when you breathe like this all the time, your cells are operating at the lowest efficiency rate or the lowest vibratory rate because they know this is all they're ever going to get. They're not going to get any more oxygen. They're not going to get any more life force. This is all they are ever going to get. But when you're a deep breather, you're breathing in this much, 3 and 4 times more air, and your cells are like, heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And it doesn't happen right away because they don't trust you. Oh, he's giving me more oxygen and life force now, but he never has before, so he's not really serious. But you do this for a couple of weeks. You give yourself the gift of deep breathing, and you pass that on to your child. Your cells, once you start deep breathing, I give you more specific instructions, your cells start to operate boop, 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 at a higher vibratory rate, and you can actually feel yourself coming alive. You can feel yourself operating at a higher vibratory rate. You know, again, I don't understand why they do this, but Erica, they blocked your comment, and it was such a nice comment. We are their teachers. We are their role models. Here's the thing, right? Your kids are going through life. You have to be like a calm coach and guide through life. Think about this, right? You have to guide and coach your children through life. If you withdraw or they withdraw, now they're on their own. And they have no guidance, no coaching. And where are they going to get it? They're going to get it from the television. They're going to get it from wherever they get it from people, kids at school. They're going to get it from somebody else's parents. You have to be there as a coach and guide. You can't just abandon your responsibility as a parent. This is your single most important role, is to guide them through life, teach them, guide them, coach them, help them, love them, right? This is your thing. If you pull away or you're not providing guidance, they have none. They're just flying solo, and they're just little kids. They're just babies. They're just little kids. They don't know. Now, here's the worst thing. If you're here and you're always correcting them and fixing them and criticizing them and giving them a little smack on the butt and don't do that, don't do this, then it's even worse. Then you're probably better off just leaving them alone. Or if you're here and you're like their friend and they're, we're buddies and don't worry about that, then you're not really coaching and guiding them. So it's kind of a delicate balance that parents have to do. You've got to commit. See, what parents have to do is they got to put their big boy, big girl pants on. This is not an easy job, right? But no one forced it on you. You chose to be a parent. You are, even if you didn't choose to be a parent, you are a parent now. And you've got to level up your own game. You've got to level up your own self-reliance because your job, you have obviously 1,000 extra jobs now, but your most important job is to be with them throughout life. And if you can find a nice balanced wavelength, now you've got really strong lines of communication with your children. If they pull away from you or you pull away from them or you just send them off to school and they come back and you just leave them alone until it's time to go to sleep and they watch TV, you don't know what's going on in their lives, you're not doing your job. Your job is to be there with them as best you can. Understand that, time is always limited. Don't worry about how much time you spend with your children. Worry about the quality of the time you do spend with them. So even if it's only a little bit, and like for example, I have 2 jobs. I only see them like for an hour and a half a day. Make it the best hour and a half of their whole lives. And they want to be with you. They want to be coached. They want to be guided. They need you. They want to be good people. They want to be successful. But they need you to show them everything. Like we said, if you tell them they have to sweep and use the dustpan, you have to show them. Go to the closet with them. Open the closet. Here's where the broom is. Here's the dustpan. Take the dustpan. Take the broom. Now let's go over here. Here's how you hold the dustpan. Here's how you sweep. You show them how to sweep. You get all the dirt into the center. They don't know. You get all the dirt into the center. You get the dustpan. You hold the broom down at the bottom, and you do it. They have no idea how to do it. You have to show them how to do even the silliest, simplest things. So again, your job is to coach, guide, teach them. Don't ever shy away from that job. Don't drop them off at school and think the school is going to raise them for you. The school isn't designed to really help your children. It's not. The school is mass education. I could go on and on about school and education, but we've got to find a better way. That's for sure. Not an easy job, but it's the best way to put it. I thought you were going to say not an easy job, but the best job, because it really is the most rewarding thing. Well, in the collective that I'm forming, the Utopia Collective, I don't quite have my Substack ready to go, but my Substack is going to be ready to go soon. And I'm forming the Utopia Collective. And I can tell you that the Utopia Collective, we have several key mission statements, and the most important one is supporting parents. Everybody, you know, I teach enlightenment, fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional ascension, even sixth and seventh dimension. You wouldn't believe me if I told you seventh dimension, because you don't even understand the fifth yet. But if I can teach you to go all the way to fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh dimensional experience. But you can't do that. And everyone says, oh, I don't have time for that. I can't do it. The people that really don't have time for it are the parents. And so I want to help parents because I don't see anybody else really helping them. We've got to be a collective that is all about the parents, because if you look from the fourth dimension and you can see how time operates in the fourth dimension I mentioned, you can see the present moment, and you can see how you need to plant seeds in the present moment so that your future can change, right? You realize that you can't always be thinking about now, especially when you have children. You have to start to see the life that they're going to be leading. And the world is going to be the world already is chaotic. God only knows, in 25 years from now, when they're, 30 years old, what will this world be? Like, how are they going to operate in this world? And I can tell you, if they don't have strong habits, if they're not self-reliant, if they don't have high self-esteem, if they don't feel good about themselves, if they're not readers and critical thinkers, if they're not, have a lifelong love of learning, it's going to be no life for them in the future. Because what's happening, I'm going into politics here, and I apologize, although some of you might like this, the wealthy people have figured out how to create better and better vacuum cleaners to suck the money out of the economy. And so the rest of us are left fighting for the scraps. So technology is another good point, right? So we have to teach our kids to succeed in any environment. And that's why it's so important. That's why I love helping parents. They really need help. These people who say, oh, I can't do this, and all the excuses. The real people that really have excuses are parents. They really have a tough job, man. I actually left. I was making a ton of money. I'm in sales. Made a ton of money. I was working for this guy who was running a regional office, and I was running the biggest office in the place. We were making boatloads of money, $40,000, $50,000 a month, making big money. And I left because my boss, would come down hard he came down hard over a period of months and years. He did the same thing. He would come down on a single mom and say, how come you weren't here at the 8 o'clock sales meeting? And I went into his office. I did this 3, 4, 5 times before I left. I said, George, when you wake up in the morning, do you have to make your kids breakfast? Do you have to shop, cook, and clean your house? Do you got to put your kids to bed? I bet the answer is no, no, and no. But this poor woman, all she wants to do is make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. It'll change your whole life. And you're on her case about showing up for an 8 o'clock meeting or leaving at 3:30 because, she has to pick up her kids. Come on, man. Come on. Not everybody needs to be on the cover of Sales Stud magazine. Not everyone wants what you want. And these people just want to build a life. So we've got to be really supportive of parents. And if you really are a future-oriented person, if you start to look at this world belongs to these children. This is their world. I'm only going to be here for X number more years. I've already had my shot at life. This world belongs to them. And we have to prepare them. And we have to prepare them in ways that are not linear. Like we have to teach them habits. We have to teach them critical thinking and reading. Again, I'm not sure why they block all these comments. There's nice comments, so I'm not really sure. I can't figure that one out. Approve. There we go. All right. So hit the like. Let's get the likes up to 3,000 if we can. And let me remind you to follow me. Every Sunday night, I do lives throughout the week. But every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, I know that's not good for Europe and it's not good for Africa. So if you're here from Europe and Africa, you're pretty committed. Every Sunday night at 9 p.m., I am committed to having a parents group. And we're going to do this on TikTok. TikTok isn't really the best platform for teaching. It's a great platform to find people, but it's not really a good platform to transmit information. I do most of my teaching offline on Zoom. Where we can, pull people up unmute your microphone and you can, we can talk and go through case studies and whatnot. Yeah, that's good in Jamaica. I wish we would do that in America. What the comment said is in Jamaica they changed the learning style to be more about critical thinking. And I got to tell you what's happening in America. And I'm like, I just thought, okay, I'll just teach enlightenment and everything's great. But what's happening over the last maybe 8 or 10 years is we are plummeting to the bottom in terms of critical thinking, in terms of the whole idea of friendship and cooperation and trust. All trust has been dissolved and destroyed. Nobody trusts anybody. Nobody cooperates with anybody. Everybody's got their own agenda. Every single thing except me goes right down to how are you going to pay me, right? Yeah, I'll tell you all this, but then you got to pay me to be really. That's crazy. We don't trust anybody. And in the collective that we're forming, it's all about trust, cooperation, and running our group based on higher values and principles. And that's the same thing, exactly the same thing you have to do as a family. You have to run your family on higher values and principles. And you may be the only family on the block that does that. Your kid may be the only kid on the Little League team that has higher values and standards. And that's the key. You have to establish higher values and standards, and you have to establish a unit of cooperation. It's not you against the kids. It's not you or the kids. It's you guys together. And what you don't know, as a grandpa can tell you, you have these kids in your life for the next 40, 50 years. They're yours, and their grandkids are yours. So you have to develop this idea of trust, cooperation. Got to teach them how to be friends with people. We got to teach them. See, we need kids that can write, not text. We need kids that can think, not just watch. We need kids that can look each other in the eye and speak and think critically. You want your kids to be literate, not just in reading and math. You want them to be literate in ideas. And there is a push now to almost like throw a dark blanket over education. Like it's just something we've wiped off the face of our country. We're highly uneducated. I've seen it happen. I just am flabbergasted at these kids that are now 25, 35, 40 years old who don't know basic American history, who can't find things on a map. It's unbelievable. And so the answer is each family inside every house, they have to light the candle of literacy. It's your job to make your children literate. It's your job to make your children critical thinkers. It's your job to expand their awareness and open opportunities for them. And I don't mean business opportunities. I just mean teach them about other things. Teach them about everything you can think to teach them about. See, this is we live in a beautiful world, but people are so stressed. People are unhappy. People are unhealthy. We have to get out of that cycle, and we have to start becoming self-reliant and start running our lives based on positive values. And I think I've rambled and changed topics about 50 times, but let me get back to the core topic. The core topic is you've got to teach your children to be healthy, which means you have to learn to be healthy. And there are 5 elements of health. Let me be clear. The first one is deep breathing. You have to learn to become a deep breather, and it's the best gift you could ever give to your child, because if you teach them how to be deep breathers now, that's a habit they'll take on for the rest of their lives. And it's nothing more than creating muscle memory and breathing, pulling your ribs apart. We've been told, to breathe from the diaphragm. Well, the first half of the breath is from the diaphragm, but the second is pulling your ribs apart. Get all that air and oxygen and life force and chi and prana, get it inside your body. You want to become a deep breather. You want to create muscle memory, so you're deep breathing throughout the day. That's really important. You need to teach your kids that. The second is posture. We need to straighten out our own spines because all of your head is like a 12-pound bowling ball, and you can feel it right now. As soon as you tip your head over, your whole neck, your whole spine gets pulled up, all the muscles and things. Teach your kids how to stand up straight. And the key are these 2 little imaginary points right here under your ribs. These need to be out, not collapsed. They don't need to be pushed out like ridiculous, but they can't be collapsed. So they have to be out. And then the next part is you got to pull your neck straight up. And if you do those two things, that's a good, you got to, constantly build your posture. And the third thing is you've got to change your relationship with food. We have to change the food that's in your house. And you may already be way on the path to eating only healthy foods, and maybe your kids. I have 3 kids and 5 grandchildren, okay? One, my firstborn, their kid eats carrots and kale and he loves everything, man. He just puts it in front of him. They only put healthy food in front of him, and he's 18 months old. He's never eaten a donut. He's never eaten a fruit roll up. He's never eaten Frosted Flakes. He doesn't eat. They don't feed him any of that. None of that. They don't give him ice. None of that. No sugar, no processed foods whatsoever. I am just in awe of how they're raising their child with his relationship to food. And they also, this is important, they only feed him when he's at the table. They don't let him walk around with food in his hand, and he's not always going, I want that, I want that. He's not always doing that. He eats when he's at the table, and when he's not at the table, the food isn't even on his mind. So he's not obsessed with food constantly. My other grandkids, I just can't imagine how their body processes all that sugar. And they come over to our house, and my wife gives them fruit roll-ups, and come on, honey, stop giving them all that sugar. They're kids, they like it. You can't be that way. So there you go. That's the whole point. These conversations, that's the whole point. I want to do this every Sunday night. Yeah. And then the fourth element of health is walking or exercising. You as an adult should be walking, if not every day, every other day, unless you do like an intense workout. Most people don't. But if you do an intense workout, I know most people don't, because when I go to my LA Fit Club, I'm usually one of only 11 people there when there's like 2 million people that live within driving distance. So I know most people don't do an intense workout. I also play tennis, but I also walk. You've got to get out of the house and walk. You got to get into the fresh air, into the sun, and your kids have to walk. You have to teach your kids how to walk, take bike rides with them, go to the park and walk, live a healthy lifestyle when they're young, so they will subconsciously need to live a healthy lifestyle as they get older. If you don't train them in a healthy lifestyle and constantly give them sugar, well, aside from the fact that you're setting up health problems for them 20, 30, 40 years down the road, aside from that, they're never going to be able to have a healthy lifestyle, because they're going to think, oh, I'll change this little thing. No, you've got to change everything. You got to throw all that crap away and only eat, well, I don't know how to do that because I've never done it before. So you get further and further and further away from health the longer you keep them on this sugar and processed food diet. So health is really, really important. Another thing I wanted to talk about, now we talked about values and principles, and I guess what I wanted to make sure is that you are very clear on the values and principles that you want your children to have, and you want your children to be very clear on that. But the way they're really clear on that is they're looking at you. They're looking at you as the role model. So if you want them to be kind and generous and healthy, and you want them to be self-reliant, and you want them to be emotionally balanced and mature, you have to be emotionally balanced and mature. You have to get your own life under control. Because if your life's not under control, they don't care what you're saying, they're watching you, and they're copying you. And that's the way they're going to grow up. They're mirroring you. So if you can bring your own life into balance, if you can bring your own life under control, if you can get rid of all these emotions and all the stress and the worry and all that stuff that you're feeling, if you can't get rid of that, then that's the role model you are. Your kids are going to grow right up into that stress. But you've got to start to bring yourself into balance, because they're watching everything you do. They don't care about what you say. They care about what you do. You know this. Everyone knows that. And you have to be very, very careful about bringing your own life. You have to be intentional about bringing your own life into balance. And that would be some of the other lives that I do throughout the week. This Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, is always going to be just for parents, which is the most, to me, in the collective that we're forming, the Utopia Collective that I'm going to be forming, parents are right at the top. Our mission is to help parents, because by helping parents, we're reaching children. And when we reach children, we're planting the seeds for a positive future. I'm not going to see when your kids grow up, I'm not going to, you'll be there, taking care of their grandkids and, all that good stuff. You'll be still in their life. I'll be gone. So I'm not planting these seeds for my own benefit. I'm planting these seeds for humanity's benefit. And then when I talk about enlightenment, enlightenment isn't a personal journey. It's a journey of humanity becoming enlightened, humanity ascending. So we have to plant the seeds with these kids. That's the most important thing we can do. Let me talk about another thing. I don't think we talked about it last week, but I want to talk about teaching your kids optimism and positive self-talk. You want to teach your children to be optimistic about the future, optimistic about their chances in life, optimistic about what's, the world, optimistic about everything, and teach them positive self-talk. So we'll talk a little bit more about the positive self-talk part of it. How do you teach your children optimism? You have to feed them optimism. You have to put them on an optimism diet. And how do you do that? You have to be optimistic. So if you're like stressed about politics, stressed about the world, stressed, I don't have enough time, and you're unhealthy and you're doing all these things, you have to stop that. You have to train yourself to be optimistic about your future, optimistic about the possibilities. We live in, the world we live in is like, okay, we're killing it, but we live in utopia. It was built just for us. This world, the trees, the oxygen, the chi, the prana, the beauty of this world is all for us. We live in the most beautiful place. I believe in spiritual stuff, right? I believe we're all beings of light. We chose this incarnation. It really should have been a gift. It should have been a gift to us. Like, oh, look at this beautiful mother I have taking care of me, this beautiful father, this beautiful family, this beautiful tribe. Oh my gosh, the fruit is on the trees, the fish are in the river. Life couldn't be better. That's the way life was supposed to be lived, but we've improved life, so now we're all miserable. We're all stressed. We're all, just constant stress and chaos and unhappiness. We've got to get back to realizing that this life was a gift. Your life is a gift. Your body is a gift. You have to learn how to take care of it. You have to learn to love the world that you live in. You have to learn to love your family, love the opportunities, love the possibilities. I love this guy I just met on TikTok, man. It's amazing. Like, the world is great. There are good people out there. There's lots of good. That's why we're forming a collective. There are great people out there. And we're going to bring them all together. But you have to be positive and optimistic. One rule on our Discord chat, when someone comes in and starts complaining about, I had this and that, I tried to meditate, but I couldn't because I had this problem and that, I delete the comment because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what you can't do. I want to hear what you can do. I want to hear what you are doing. I want to hear what you did. I want to hear look, if you had a bad day today, certainly you did some good things today. What are those? I want to hear the progress you made today. I want to hear what your kids did well. I don't want to hear about how crazy they are and my kid is evil and that. I don't want to hear that. Like, you shouldn't be talking about, no one should be speaking those things. Don't speak the negative. They're there. Let somebody else talk about the negative. Because the more energy you put into it, watch what happens. You become that. You become the negative. The more energy and focus and attention you put on the positive, patience, inner peace, balance, being heart-centered, kind, generous, thoughtful, healthy, the more you put that optimism in your mind, the more that reality comes closer and it starts to become you. You start to become patient and optimistic and kind and healthy and generous. You actually now become that. And it didn't happen by accident. It happened because you put your mind on it. And all the stress and the worry and the unhappiness you have, that didn't come by accident. It comes because that's what you pay attention to. And that's the easiest thing to pay attention to because that's the way the world is. Nobody teaches us higher values. Nobody teaches us optimism. Everyone you go to a therapist, you talk about your trauma for 20 years. How does that help you? I mean, I know how it helps the therapist. That's how they make a living. But how does that help you to hold on to that like an anchor for the whole rest of your life? Swipe it left, man. Just swipe it left and talk about what you're going to be doing in the future. Talk about where you're going. Talk about where we're going as a species. We've got so much good work we can do, starting with helping parents, starting with making parenting a little bit easier, giving them just a breath of oxygen so that their life could be just a little bit easier. Give them some guidance. So I'm writing a book called How to Raise Kind and Responsible Kids, and I'm actually looking for maybe a group of 4 or 5 people who will read it chapter by chapter with me and go through the whole thing and give me their feedback, because I want to make sure I got everything right. I want to make sure the workbook exercises are good. So if you're interested in helping me work on that book, just connect with me. Just message me on TikTok. Just message me on TikTok and I'll message you back, and I'll get you over to our Discord group, and we'll do some weekly sessions on that book. My goal is to get that book published by August or September and get that. This will be posted on my YouTube channel. All my live events are posted in full on my YouTube channel, Rara, so you can see it. The thing is, I post them there and then like maybe 3 people watch them, but if you want to, they're there. So I do it because I know I'd rather help the 3 people than just not post them at all. I wish 1 million people would watch them, but that's not the way it works. Where are we at? 5.3K. Let's get to 6K. I'm going to like myself. Why did they get rid of the hearts? They used to like the hearts. Now they're like all different objects. Let's talk about positive self-talk, okay? And I'm going to group into this conversation affirmations. Affirmations are not understood properly. You're brushing your teeth and you put a Post-it on the mirror. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Brushing my teeth. I am healthy. I am healthy. Thinking that if I put this in my mind, I will somehow become healthy. Somehow. Let me give you a better way to think about affirmations. You need to speak it and the missing link, do it. Speak it, do it. Speaking it without doing it is nothing. Doing it without speaking it is putting it on in first gear. If you want to put it into second, third, and fourth gear, you do it and speak it. So if you want to say, for example, I am healthy, watch the difference. I am healthy. I make great health decisions throughout the day. I'm a deep breather. I feel the energy flowing in my body. I'm not just saying it, I'm experiencing it. It's kinesthetic. I'm taking action. I'm grounded. I feel my energy flowing through my body. My blood is flowing. I'm healthier than I've ever been. That's an affirmation because you're thinking it, you're saying it, and doing it. That's the key. We think somehow if I just say it enough times, I'll somehow be that way. If this is you here, and this is the health that you want in the future, it don't just snap your fingers and become healthy. It's every day, every little decision you make, thousands of little things you could be doing, changing the food you eat, looking up new, healthier recipes, changing the way you shop, changing the things you buy, walking, getting out and walking at 5, 6 o'clock every night, getting out with your kids to the park, let them ride their bikes, let them go on the playground. And you don't sit there on the bench, you walk around and you do something. Start moving, get your blood flowing, right? You don't just become healthy because you want to be. You don't get what you want. You don't get what you deserve. You don't get what you wish for. You don't get what you pray for. You get what you do. And when you do it, and we have this thing like everything has to be instant. The time doesn't work that way. The universe doesn't work in instantaneous. The universe works in much longer rhythms and cycles. And the more you understand the cycle, that's what this book is about, the cycle of mind. I know it's reversed, but I'm sure you can read it. The cycle of mind. That's what this book is about. It explains that the universe doesn't just snap its fingers and make changes. The universe operates in longer rhythms and cycles. And now, if you understand that, you can start to plant seeds and work with the rhythm of the universe. Instead of always fighting against it, work with the longer rhythms of time. instead of demanding the minute you do something and expect results, it sets up a resistance and it's never going to happen. In other words, just do it. Don't worry about the results. Worrying about doing it all every day. Worry about being consistent over a long period of time. Don't worry about the results. The results will come because you're taking the right actions. That's how you change. That's how you make changes in your life. So this idea of affirmations, oh, my kids are well behaved. No, and that's another thing. You got to teach this with your kids. While they're doing something, that's when you're affirming their behavior. That's when you're affirming. You want to take every little thing they do and put a label on it. Say, you are an awesome kid, man. I love the way you do that. I love that. You are kind and generous. I love that about you. And look at the way you treated her. Like she took the ball from you, and instead of grabbing it back and getting angry and you played her with. I love that about you. Your kindness, your generosity. You've got to give them positive self-talk. They can't have positive self-talk if they don't hear it from you all the time. And if all they hear, stop that, why are you doing that? I'm fed up with you doing this. That's what they hear, and that's how they become, right? These are little kids, man. You're putting you're putting not just ideas in their head, you're putting wavelengths. You have a wavelength. That's the world you attract. Your kids have a wavelength. Where did their wavelength come from? Well, if it doesn't come from you, it's going to come from the television. It's going to come from the kids they meet at school. You don't want them to have you want to control their wavelength. You want to control their self-talk. You want to control their optimism and how they picture themselves in the future. And say, hey, look, I know nobody knows what the future is going to be, but what I can tell you is I feel really, really positive about what you're going to be when you're an adult. I just can't wait to see how you grow and how you learn. I love that you read books with me every night. I love that we have these conversations every night. Don't just do it. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about the values that you want to inculcate. Talk about the habits that you want. Don't just say, okay, you're going to make your bed every morning. No, hey, did you make your bed this morning? Hey, check, put it on the check. You're fantastic, man. That's like 4 days in a row you made your bed. You're cruising. You're awesome. I love you, man. I love everything about you. That's what you got to be talking to your kids about. And I know it's not easy because maybe you weren't doing that before, and maybe there's like this split between you and your kids, and they're like this, and now you get all agitated, and this. Yet we have to somehow find a way to get the wavelength in the house back to balance. Give them a stable platform that they can grow and become great people. So for those of you that have just joined, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern is Parents' Night. This is our second Parents' Night that we've done this. So we're really focusing on parents and children and habits and routines for kids and things like that. Any thoughts, comments? What do we want to talk about next? And the other thing, too, that you have to understand about being a parent, more than anything else in the world, it's a one-sided relationship. You have to do all the work. You have to make all the sacrifices. You're the one that has to change. You're the one that has to be positive and optimistic. You're the one that has to be, habits and routines and be consistent and give them a stable environment. They're not going to say, hey, thanks, Mom, I really, really appreciate what a great mom you are. They're not ever going to say that. This is not anything a kid would say. If you have a kid that does that, that's amazing, right? Even if you're not a good mom, your kid, Mom, Mom, you're awesome. There are some kids, I guess, that do that, but don't expect anything in return. Just sacrifice, change, improve yourself, work on your own inner peace, work on your own balance. Don't expect anybody else to help you. Don't expect anybody else to reinforce you. Don't expect anybody else to give you positive feedback. You have to do it yourself. You're your own coach. And then you know how they say, like in the airplane, when they give the speech, if there's ever a problem with the plane, that oxygen masks are going to drop. If you're traveling with a child, what do they tell you to do? Put your oxygen mask on first, then help your child. Get your life in balance first, then you're in a much better position to help your child. Now, of course, we have to do this tie your sneakers while you're running full speed, right? That's the challenge of parenting. You have to change while the whole thing just keeps coming at you 24 hours a day. You don't ever get a break. And I understand that. And it's not easy. It's the hardest job in the world, but it's the greatest job in the world because you can change yourself. You can completely transform who you are as a person. And in that transformation, you're passing these values and principles to your kids. You're making yourself healthier and you're passing that on to your kids. You're making yourself more calm and balanced and you're passing that on to your kids. You're being self-reliant and consistent and building a stable household, and you're passing self-reliance and consistency and stability to your children. You're picking up books and reading and learning, and then you're going to pass that reading and learning and critical thinking on to your kids. It's the greatest job in the world because, I teach, right? I'm a teacher, right? If you come into contact with me, I'll pour all my information into you. But I'm not with you when we're finished. I'm not going to be with you tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So I don't have the same ability to help you as you have this ability to help your children. You have a real gift. You have a real opportunity to help your children, and you want to take every last advantage of that. Don't waste a second. Bring yourself into balance. Bring yourself into balance. That's what I can help you do. Bring yourself into balance so that now your children are on their own little journey, but you don't get upset by everything they do. You see that, okay, they're just kids, all right. And over time, they're going to finally respect or notice or start to conform with your wavelength. And eventually, you're going to bring a more peaceful wavelength into your house. If you were to fly over a community with 1,000 homes, there's 1,000 different wavelengths in those homes. You want to be the one that's fun and happy and reading and cuddling up in bed at night and, saying, having real conversations with your kids, watching them grow up, talk to them positively. You want to be the one, you want your house to be the one that's peaceful. You want your house to be the one where the kids are reading and they're literate and they're critical thinkers and they're talking about things. Mom, I always wondered, how come blah, 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 blah. That's a great question. Let's talk about it. I don't know the answer. Let's talk about it. And also, the most important thing you have to do with your kids, once you become balanced, it now becomes a team. The best thing I ever did with my kids, we called ourselves the Amazing Gordons. We were a team. And we knew that if one person was crazy, it messed everybody. It's like those mobiles, those mobiles, those really delicate mobiles. If the one, let's say one of the parents is an alcoholic, it messes up the whole family, right? So you have to find balance because they're not thinking in terms of balance. They're thinking in terms of being kids and doing things, whatever's on their little heads, right? You have to bring yourself to balance and find a way to bring your own family into balance. And this is not something that takes a minute or a day or a week or a month. This takes time, but understand that this balance, this relationship that you're deepening, the meaning that you're creating in your life is going to, if you're a parent, is going to last for the next 50 years because they're going to be with you forever. Your kids are your kids forever. They don't just disappear. They don't go out of the house and disappear. They're your kids forever. And then you've got grandchildren, and then they're going to have children. You're going to be this parent forever. So every ounce of improvement that you make in yourself is not for today. It's for forever. It's for the rest of this life because you're going to have this relationship with your kids forever. It's a beautiful thing. It's both hectic and crazy and beautiful at the same time. You speak a lot. Thank you, Rashao. I take that as a compliment. I'm not sure what else you're supposed to do on TikTok except speak a lot. I'll read what else you said. Teach what? Hate? I don't know where you got that word from, but thank you for bringing it into the chat. And then you will help me. Thank you. I'm not sure I want your help because you think I talk too much. Well, there you go. All right. Well, those are the things I really wanted to cover. I also wrote something down, and I took this from my book. And I'm looking for 4 or 5 people who want to help me through the process of writing this book. It's called The Utopia Guide to create kind and responsible, or to raise. Start again. The Utopia Guide to Raising Kind and Responsible Kids. It's multiple chapters and workbooks and things. I'm looking for a few parents who will read that book along with me and go through it with, not one-on-one, but, with a group of 4, 5, 6 parents. And I want to get that book finished and published by the August, September timeframe. It's a little aggressive, I know, but if anyone would be interested in helping me with that, just hit me up with a private message on TikTok and we'll do that. It's the name of the book is being written, so you can't find it on Amazon yet, but that's where it'll be. It's The Utopia Guide to Raising Kind and Responsible Kids. And the subtitle is Turning Chaos into Cooperation. And that's the theme of the book. Sometimes I fail for a lack of patience. Well, let's do a patience meditation, okay? If you've never meditated before, you feel like a failure in meditation, let's do this. We're going to meditate on the word patience. This is called a keyword meditation, okay? It's the easiest meditation, and if you've never meditated before, you should be doing this in the morning, and at night you should begin a morning and evening meditation routine. And it'd be great if your kids could do it too, right? It would be great. So the simplest thing to do, you close your eyes, you can keep your eyes open, it doesn't matter. And I want you to use your inner sight. And you use your inner sight to start to see inside yourself. Or sometimes you'll use your inner sight and you might see another version of yourself sitting across from you. But either way is fine. But then I want you to see the word patience over your head. Now, words are interesting things. It's just an 8-letter word, or however many letters are in there, probably 8 letters. Patience is an 8-letter word, but it has its own energy and it has its own meaning. It means a lot of different things, right? Patience isn't just one word. It has a lot of meaning and context. So I want you to see the word patience over your head. And I want it to slowly descend. And when it merges with your energy field, as it begins to merge, I want you to absorb that word patience into your being, into your cells, into your muscles and your bones. I want you just to absorb the word patience and just keep repeating that word, patience, and all the energy that it contains. And just think of the word patience absorbing, becoming, blending into your being. And if you do this, this is called a keyword focus meditation. Even people that can't meditate can do this. That's how you become patient, right? You don't become patient by putting a post-it on the mirror. I am patient, I am patient. You have to be patient. You have to absorb that energy, become it, experience it, and then practice it. So there you go. All right, so for those of you that have just gotten here within the last couple of minutes, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time is Parents' Night. Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern is Parents' Night. Put that on your calendar. I will be here for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is. And let's just, my mission is to just give you some words of encouragement, maybe, light a fire under your butt. Maybe motivate you to start to change and make changes in yourself and in your family. So that's what I'm here for. I'm working on this book, How to Raise Kind and Responsible Kids. Would love any support that you guys can give me to help edit that book, or even really work on some of the exercises so we can get that book into more parents' hands. Once that book is published, then every Sunday night we'll literally be working chapter by chapter on that book. And there's a lot of content in there. So we talked about a ton of things. Just to review the things we talked about today, in case you weren't here the whole time, we talked about establishing a consistent morning routine with your child, getting them off to a good start on the day. So by 7:30 or 8 in the morning, check, 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 check. Look at you. You already did 4 things today. It's only 7:30 and you're already having a great day. Great job, guy. Fantastic. Ready for school, whatever it is. This next thing we talked about was to be clear about your own values and principles, and to be clear about the values and principles that you're raising into your children, to actually write them down, because we don't talk about those things enough. And we just kind of leave it to the world, I suppose, to figure out what their values are. You as a parent have to establish first your own values and principles, then help them understand your values and principles, but then you've got to live them yourself. And that's the challenge. The next thing we talked about was establishing optimism and positive self-talk. We also talked about affirmations and how to best use them. We talked about, look, if you're not optimistic, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you're stressed, if you're unhappy, if you're unhealthy, that is a really bad wavelength to be raising kids. You've got to amp up your wavelength. You've got to be happy, optimistic, and no one's going to help you do it. I can give you words of encouragement, but this is something you have to do yourself. You've got to put your big boy, big girl pants on and be the best parent you can be. And you've got to shield these kids from all the garbage that's going on in the world. They're just kids. They don't need that. They'll get plenty of it when they get older. They don't need that from you. They don't need to feel the world closing in on them. The world for them should be open, wide open, optimistic, abundant, amazing, always learning something new. My dad, my mom's always happy. When they look back 30 years, oh, my mom and dad took me to the park every Sunday. Get into positive habits and routines. Get out in the fresh air. Be healthy. Take walks with your kids. Be involved with their schoolwork. Do everything. You've got to change yourself. You've got it right, Ross. If you don't change yourself, if you don't bring your own life into balance, there's no way you can expect your kids to be balanced. They're going to be a reflection of you. And if you're upset, anxious, angry, that's what they are. That's the life they experience. You're right there with them. They're tuning right into your wavelength. So you want to bring your wavelength into balance. And then we also talked about, that's the other thing, about how to calm your wavelength. So we covered a lot of topics tonight. Let me just give last reminder. Every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern here on TikTok, until TikTok disappears, which I unfortunately think is going to happen in about a month. Until TikTok turns the lights off on us, I'm going to be here every night. And by the way, then we're just going to smoothly transition over to Substack and Discord and YouTube. So I'm not going away, but I'm going to be, until they turn the lights out on TikTok, every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Put it on your calendar because it's on my calendar. I'm going to be here to give you words of support and encouragement, advice, maybe light a fire under your butt to get you motivated. The second thing is I'm looking for 4 or 5 volunteers. Message me on TikTok to go through the book, How to Raise Kind and Responsible Kids, and kind of analyze these chapters and make sure that we have the right worksheets and, we really put a good book out there that parents can really benefit from. And this is your last chance. Go ahead and follow if you haven't followed. I'm going to take off for the evening, give myself a voice break here. Everyone, if the last chance to follow if you haven't followed yet, so you can be notified of the live. But I'll be here again. I'm here throughout the week. I don't talk specifically about parenting. I talk more about 4th dimensional and 5th dimensional ascension, and all the topics, health and things like that. All that meditation, health, etc. But to me, parenting is a very special subset of this world. We've got to support parents, because in supporting parents, we're helping kids. We're planting the seeds in these kids, and the future belongs to these kids. So let's keep going. Be positive. Anyone can reach out to me. Everything is in my link tree. Everything to connect with me or to look for further information, it's all in my link tree, in my bio. So for those of you that are interested in actually talking to me personally, there's ways to do that in there. And I look forward to continuing this every Sunday night with parents, and then throughout the week, just generally helping people live a better life. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all. And I'll see you on the next live, or maybe I'll see you in the community, or maybe I'll see you on my other lives throughout the week. Or if definitely, though, make sure you put it on your calendar so we can get more parents right at 9 o'clock, so we can just jump right into it instead of people trickling in and missing the whole first half of it. So put it on your calendar. Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern is Parents' Night here on TikTok. All right. Everyone have a great night, great day, wherever you're at, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Peace and blessings. Take care.